Welcome back, babies and gentle thems. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, it's so very good to see you today. Get my camera adjusted perfectly. So today we're going to be doing the air signs. That's going to be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. I did want to mention, for those of you who are watching this on the day it is broadcast, which is Wednesday, August 17th, I have one show today at Oracle Tavern, and I have one show tomorrow at Coaxial. So if you're interested and you're in the LA area, I will be performing live. It won't be like this, it'll be a musical performance. And you can find out more about the kind of music I do. I think I have it linked somewhere on the channel. So I am going to be using my Oliver Hibbert Tarot deck. Oh, thank you, Kayla. And thank you for coming. It's very good to see you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I also have this other deck, which is called the Empyrean deck. And I will be pulling a card from this deck for each one of the signs. It's a very cool deck. And I will be reading cards at both of the events that I'm playing. So if you wanted to get a live reading and you're in LA, you can always come to one of my shows, and I have cards on me and I'll read for you. And I'll find a quiet place to do it so that you don't have to try to hear me over the live music. Additionally, when I have completed this live stream, I'm going to be going over to the members side of the channel, and I'm going to be doing mirror scrying. Can I make it light up? There we go. You are cordially invited, but your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. And if you do want an impromptu reading, you can use the super chat. Channel members over on the members live stream, they get readings as part of their benefits. Just to clarify, I don't talk about that in every video. And that's all the housekeeping for today. So let's move on to the sign of Gemini. Gemini, if you would, gently allow your mind to set an intention for the reading. And additionally, maybe sometime I'll come to where you live, Kayla. I'll always let people know if I'm coming through an area. And allow any associated thoughts or ideas to kind of rise up to the front of your mind. And wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. Now, sometimes these things can be stressful or can be causing internal conflict. Oh, that's an interesting progression of events. Or perhaps you are feeling physical discomfort in your corporeal form, or there's just stuff that you're ready to let go of. I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw in, along with those oxygen molecules, the divine light of Source. You're going to allow that oxygen to infiltrate and permeate each one of your cells. Each one of your cells. That oxygen is going to enter your mitochondria, or rather kind of hover along the mitochondrial membranes. And we're going to use one of those electrons to power the electron transport chain. And as that electron kind of bounces through the electron transport chain, it is going to push along any of those negative vibrations, lower vibrational energies, things like that, that you want to let go of. And when we get to the end of that cycle, oh, cool, we're going to release CO2 molecules with our breath. And that's going to carry all of that out of the body. And it will return to Source, and it will be transmuted. So I'm going to document the timestamp. It's on my phone, but my phone's plugged in, so it's off screen. And now we can get started. Gemini, to start your reading here in the past, we have a fellow air sign energy, which is Justice. Justice is showing up in the upright, showing that this event either happened recently or is still impacting your life in a major way, moving into the current situation, and where we have the place of the significator. So Justice has to do with things equalizing. This could be winning a court case. It could be settling an arbitration. It could be a situation in which things were unfair and they were equalized to your benefit, Gemini. It's a lot about balance, but some decks call this a balance card. But to me, in the typical major arcana, there are implications to the Justice card of morality and upright ethics. So it's not just about things being balanced, because sometimes unethical things balance out other things too. They say two wrongs doesn't make a right, but sometimes it does. So, in this case, everything has worked out to the benefit. Here in the current situation, we have the Four of Wands. This is the significator. So this is how you are kind of showing up in the reading, Gemini. And if you see these two uprights and the curve of the horizon and the curve here, even though this is a fire sign card because it's wands, there are very much implications of Gemini energy there. But kind of for the merit of this reading, I don't always read this card this way, but I'm going to read it this way today. It can be about buying a house. It can be about getting married. The Four of Wands is about a celebration because you have reached a milestone and an achievement. So this is not the end of a cycle. This is a milestone along your way to something else. It's like a happily ever after, but the sequel is in the works. And the Knight of Cups is your crossing card here. So this could be a marriage proposal, just because of how it's laid out like this. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. The Knight of Cups could also be somebody offering you a roommate situation that would be favorable. The Knight of Cups can be an offer of emotional support. It's not quite the same as the Page of Cups. Page of Cups is more like how you see the bouquet card in the Lenormand deck, in that it is more like a gift, something that somebody is giving you. And because pages are earth energy, it could be something tangible. But it can also be an offer. So there's a little bit of overlap there. Additionally, the Knight of Cups, this is fire of water energy, so there's a balance there. It's all about trusting your intuition, trusting your heart, and trusting your gut over your logic sometimes. That logic might be telling you something, but you might not have all the information. Sometimes we don't know whether or not we have all the information. So that is what is going on with you in the current situation. This Four of Wands could be a celebration of a victory in a court case for some of you. It could be celebrating a divorce and meeting somebody new potentially as well. It could be settling an arbitration over purchasing property. All kinds of stuff like that. And maybe for all intents and purposes, you didn't think that it was going to come through, but then it ended up coming through. And these are just kind of archetypal examples, but this is a general reading, so I trust you to apply that type of energy to your life, however it's showing up for you, because it could be a wide range of scenarios. I only give a few so that you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. Down here in the MMCLI, now I mentioned that this was an interesting progression because here we have 11, the Justice card, and we have the two columns there on the Justice card, and we're talking about balance. Here we have the Four of Wands, which is sometimes called the 1111 card because of how the wands are depicted. And I was saying, like, your Gemini energy is kind of showing up graphically in that card. And down here in the MMCLI, which is the foundations upon which the future is going to be built, we have the High Priestess card. The High Priestess is a very solitary energy, and she remains solitary so she can keep her secrets. Now I say she, but of course, these are all archetypal energies. This would be a passive energy. Um, the High Priestess is associated with the moon, and so the cycles of the moon's light are dependent on the active energy of the sun, right? The moon is a reflective luminary. It is not uh, a primary luminary like the sun itself. So that is a passive energy. We have here the pillars of mercy and severity, uh, depicted as Boaz and Joachim, which were the pillars in the Temple of Solomon, um, and showing up as light and darkness, and she is straddling those two worlds. So the High Priestess acts as this solitary, passive intermediary for channeling messages from the divine, channeling energies from the divine. But unlike the Hierophant, she is not disseminating that freely among the general public. You might be keeping secrets at this time. You might be kind of holding things close to your chest, especially if you're coming out of a court case or an arbitration where you don't necessarily want to make a bunch of information available to people in case they use it against you. And the High Priestess, as I mentioned, lunar energy, so can be associated with Cancer, can be associated with water energies, and is very cyclical. So there may be some things coming around that are tied to lunar cyclical energies. The moon does control the flow of tides and water in general on this planet. Here, from your perspective, Gemini, we have this fixed sign card of completion and finality, and Saturnian and elemental earth energy showing up, but showing up in the reverse. So I mentioned that this Four of Wands is not a final completion. It's just a milestone. There might be some kind of closure that you're looking for at this time, Gemini, that you are trying to close out a cycle. And it's very interesting, the card that we have showing up from an outside person's perspective, because that tells us a little bit about what kind of cycle that might be. We have the Devil card showing up, and it's showing up in the upright. So, Gemini, people might be perceiving about you at this time that you are grappling with some of your baser instincts, your compulsions, your drives, the things that exist below the waist, so to speak, the lizard parts of the brain, that you at this time are kind of dealing with some of those issues. Now, I do think you're probably keeping that stuff very private. But this could be something that you are trying to bring a close to a certain cycle in your life. And it's compounded by the fact that either there could be jealousy involved, there could be addiction issues, there could be compulsions. And that you are trying to bring that to closure. I do see good news about that in the future. Because we have the Three of Pentacles coming through, and this is all about teamwork. Oh, hi Salem Grey Wolf. I'm so glad you stopped by. And yes, I totally understand. able to catch the live stream, it's greatly appreciated, whether that's during the broadcast or after. So the Three of Pentacles is all about teamwork. It's about group projects. And here we have it showing up in the upright. So we have people in supervisory positions. We have people in very supportive positions. And here we kind of have your energy, Gemini, as the craftsperson. Somebody who can be relied upon to do their part of a project independently. You do have a lot of good, strong, independent energy in your reading. Some of you might have a moon in Gemini. So this Three of Pentacles in the upright shows that in the near future, you could be working with some other people on a project. It might even be related to this Justice card, that because of some kind of equalization process, that you then are able to help others with what you've learned, or because also keep in mind that the High Priestess has to do with that knowledge. And for the time being, you might be keeping it kind of tucked away, but then in the future, you might be able to open up to other people about your experiences in a way that would be relevant to their lives. I think that pretty much covers that for now. I might come back to it if I think of anything else. Hearing your hopes and fears. So this is in opposition to where we see the World card here in the reverse, that you're trying to bring an end to some of your cycles. You are hoping to be stable. The King of Pentacles can be associated with Taurian energies. This is air of earth energy. So we're combining two oppositional elements to create stability. Earth is very grounding. Air is that finely tuned discernment and logic that you need to properly handle your finances. Some of you could even have Taurus cusp energy or a Taurus rising. And you are hoping for that kind of stability, is what I see here overall. Gemini is a mutable air sign. So that means you have active elemental air energy that is very mobile. Additionally, that mutability means that sometimes it's difficult to bring that stability and that closure into your life because there's the potential there for you to have shifts and changes within yourself. Most signs have to deal with shifts and changes outside of themselves. But Gemini is always grappling with that duality. Energetically speaking, not every single Gemini is the same, right? Depends on what else you have in your chart too. So I always invite people to watch all of the placements that they find relevant in their current state of mind and life. We have a great card up here in the midheaven. So this is going to be the evolution of this High Priestess energy. And this is a very interesting evolution because here, as I mentioned, the High Priestess is very solitary, very cyclical kind of feeling. We're traveling through this future energy of the Three of Pentacles. And in the midheaven, you are showing up as the Queen of Wands. This is somebody who's the life of the party, a lot of fun to be around, very charismatic, very warm, very inviting energy. So you're going to be coming out of this particular situation, which I don't see as particularly taxing outside of the fact that you're kind of grappling with some issues of your own internally and having to do with this devil energy. The devil can also be illness. It's not necessarily something that we have full control over. Um, so I don't like to be very like blame oriented when I talk about the devil card for that reason, because a lot of times there are factors going on here that are not fully within your control. These chains look very loose, like they could be easily removed, but the devil's sitting right there, and he's going to try to get you to stay. This guy's like a lot bigger than either of these two. Maybe one of these people could create a diversion so the other one could escape, but it's not always something that's that easy to push off. So I commend you for the hard work that you're doing at this time, Gemini, because I think it's really going to pay off. And finally, well, penultimately, we have the final outcome card. Now, the final outcome card is not necessarily like a future placement. This is more like advice. This is more like, what can you do to improve the situation? What do you need to know to work through this? And the card that we have showing up there is the Chariot. Now, it's showing up reversed. This is your other neighboring sign of Cancer. Remember, we had Cancer energy associated with this High Priestess card through that lunar correspondence. And this is showing up in an oppositional placement to the devil. So, what this is telling me is that victory and mobility in this situation are the potential is there, but you're going to have to conquer this first in order to get this. Now, as I mentioned, because of some of the other cards here and those showing up in the upright, I do think that you are on the right track and that you will be pushing whatever that influence is out of your life for good this time. But this is reminding you that victory is not guaranteed. So don't be shy about doing the work. And in fact, this could be like a group therapy situation. This could be AA meetings. This could be anything else like that as well. That you are showing up in a group with other people to do the work together. So if you are dealing with compulsion issues in your particular version of the devil, try seeking out a support group because it might help you work through those things and feel more supported. So now I'm going to read for you the Empyrean card. And the card that you got from the Empyrean deck is Dark Star. Dark Star. I think most of you who watch the channel regularly know that I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan. So, of course, when I think of Dark Star, I think of the long-ass Grateful Dead jam, Dark Star. Can have to do with kind of like that dark horse energy too, like coming from behind. Can have to do with associations to the morning star and Venus. Let's see what they have to say about it in this book. When there's something burning within you, open your mouth. This world begs us to push things down, to pretend the injustices don't exist, to not ask for more. Authority wants us to feel small, incapable, to let ourselves wear down and fade away. We spend a lifetime tucking away our power, handcuffing ourselves to keep the peace. But energy is neither created nor destroyed. Each time we have bent to the will of something seemingly larger than ourselves, we have not given our power away. Because that power lays in wait, it starts lining your spirit, continuing to grow, waiting for the day you will discover it. But what is more holy than reclaiming the storm, of letting the thunder inside you crack through the sky? You may have to sever the telephone lines and rip up the foundation, but there's a world of color waiting to be seen. The next time it rains, call it by your name. It's very interesting because the song that I picked for the reading today is all about telephone calls. It's a phone number. That was really good, actually. I like this card a lot. I really like that one. It's kind of hit or miss for me with Oracle decks, but I've been very happy with this one so far. Some of them are not terribly factually based, and some of them I just have a hard time resonating with, but I really like that. So that is going to conclude the Gemini reading for this week. And now we're going to move on to the sign of Libra. Libra. I actually get along really well with Libras. One of my best friends at Quest was Libra Scorpio cusp. And they were very spicy. Really liked their attitude. Libras are very balanced, but almost to a fault sometimes. I dated a Libra who would look at all sides of the situation. And that's all I'm really allowed to say about that. So go ahead, set your intention. Allow any of the, oh, that's good. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. I won't get too distracted. Allow any associated thoughts or ideas to rise up to the forefront of your mind and just wait there patiently while I dish this out. Now, sometimes these things in our lives cause us stress, discomfort. They cause us to doubt ourselves. Sometimes you might be feeling physical discomfort, and that is impeding you in your goals. And if that is the case for you, Libra, I invite you to gently breathe through those energies so we can release them. So anything that you're ready to let go of, just inhale, draw in all of those oxygen molecules, and with them, source energy. You're going to allow that to infiltrate all of your cells and enter the mitochondria. And one of the electrons from that oxygen molecule is going to hop off and take part in the electron transport chain. What we're going to do alchemically during this process is that all of the energies that you're ready to let go of, those are all just going to get pushed right along the electron transport chain, just like you're sweeping them up with a broom. And when you get to the end of that, we're going to release that CO2 molecule. And all of those energies are just going to get released with that outgoing breath. And they will be returned to source, and they will be transmuted. Oh, Libra, you got a very Libran card from the Empyrean deck. I'm going to note the timestamp here. And then we can begin. Here in the past, Libra, I can see there was a painful ending for you. This is no longer largely impacting your life. It could have been an ending that needed to happen. There's a lot of finality to it. So it doesn't necessarily have to have been an incredibly painful ending, but it's very final. There's no going back. You are moving on to the next iteration. Here in the place of the significator, we have two cards from the Secret Arcana, which I have really enjoyed using in conjunction with the typical tarot deck. And so in the place of the significator, we do get your ruling planet of Venus. This has to do with beauty, attraction. It can also have aspects of financial gain, because remember, Venus is romance, Venus is also finance, and especially having to do with partnerships, which is a big aspect of Libra's 7th house traits. Libra as the ruler of the 7th house, not necessarily that you have Libra in the 7th house. It's a Venn diagram, you know? But to have this showing up in the place of the significator as your energy, it looks like you are having a very pleasant time where you've got love in your life. There are good things coming through for you, and you are exalted in your own energy. This is crossed by the Candle card. Now, before I give you my meanings for this card, the way that you're supposed to work with this card in this deck is to meditate on its energy. So I'm just going to hold it up here for a moment, and I'm going to allow you to meditate on the card. See if it has any special messages just for you that come through. Any impressions that you get from it. Any ideas that come to mind. Spark of inspiration. And I take this card to mean that you are shining your beautiful light, your multi-spectral light from your single flame out into the world at this time, Libra. And it's because there was that closure of that cycle in the past. Down here in the Imam Silai, this is going to set the stage for what ends up happening in the goal or destiny future of the midheaven. And the card that we have showing up there for you is the Three of Wands. This person is looking out to sea, waiting for their energies to return. So at this time, there might have been things that you, like projects you started, and maybe you helped somebody out with something, and they were like, I'm going to pay you back someday. So all of those situations, you can kind of expect some of those things to come back around for your benefit at this time. You might notice that people that you've done favors for are returning those favors. You might notice that if you applied for your registration renewal, you get that in the mail, things like that. This is a very good like road opener energy to have as well. So if you've been doing road opener spell work because you're trying to expedite something, um, you can know that it will be successful. Here, from your perspective, we do have the Ten of Wands showing up in the reverse. So you're casting off burdens at this time. You are releasing oppression from your life. You are refusing any longer to take part in the rituals, the intricate rituals that led to this. That Ten of Wands can be a card of extreme self-sacrifice. So I'm glad to see it in the reverse here. From an outside person's perspective looking in, now this is interesting because what we have is the Magic card and it's showing up reversed. A lot of signs have been getting this card, but they've been getting it upright in that position. But basically, it's you being cradled in the hands of the Creator, having mastery over the universe, the moon, and the stars, infinite energy for your workings, all the little secrets tucked away here. But where this card is showing up reversed, there might be people around you right now who are not recognizing your magic. They might not be recognizing the alchemy that's going on within you right now. But you will not be keeping people like that around. There could also be, we're all such multifaceted beings that it's very difficult, even if you know somebody so well, even if you've been married to them, even if you are super close to this person, that it can be difficult for all of us to properly recognize the magic within each other. So there might be things going on with you that even the people around you are not yet recognizing. Here in the future, we do have the Wheel of Fortune and it's showing up in the upright. So this is another fixed sign card, rather like the World card. However, the Wheel of Fortune's fixed nature is not in the static as it is with the earth elemental energies of the World card. Here, the Wheel of Fortune is reminding us that motion is inevitable and that cycles press forward. Sometimes time is your best friend, sometimes it's your worst enemy, but it continues infinitely in both directions and never stands still. So in the future, you might have more situations opening up to you. This is kind of like a precursory energy. And then this is going to be when things really start opening up for you, Libra. We have another very beneficial 10 showing up for you in the midheaven, but I'll get to that shortly. So here in your hopes and fears, we have the Judgment card showing up in the reverse. And Judgment is an energy of passing a test in order to ascend to the next level. So like when you play Super Mario and you have to complete the earlier levels in order to unlock later levels. It's like that, but it has to do more with your self and your spirit. Although this can also be the energy of like passing the bar exam or graduating from college, something like that, that would be potentially life changing for you. Now, because this card is showing up in the reverse and it's showing up in your hopes and fears, and this is in opposition to where you're casting off all of these burdens, right? So, how I see this is that you are afraid of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's a potential energy. There's also the possibility that you are worried you won't be able to excise all of these burdens from your life and that it's going to hold you back from this ascension. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Gosh, my nose is so itchy. I wonder if it's allergy season. So here in the midheaven, as I promised, a beneficial 10. This is a passive energy 10. The two passive energy 10s in the minor arcana are very beneficial 10s. It is about the closing of cycles, but in this particular case, we're talking about the accrual of generational wealth, that you'll be able to leave a legacy of comfort to future generations. And this is going to be based upon these things that are starting to return to you at this time. Something really interesting about this card is it looks like there is a tire track on this person's back that they've been like run over, but I haven't figured out how that might pertain to the particular energies of the Three of Wands. So fortune vastly improving for you, Libra, and it's going to be because you're putting an end to certain things. We have these two active tens showing up reversed, letting us know that those things are leaving your life. Those cycles are closing. Here in the final outcome. And this is in opposition to where we have the magic card reversed. So I'm getting kind of an idea from this. So the final outcome card is more like advice. It's not like an additional future placement. Sometimes I've read it that way. But at this particular time, this is how I'm reading it. It's more like advice and extra information to kind of help you sort out current situations and how to proceed forward. And the card that we have showing up there for you is the Temperance card in the reverse. That maybe the time for patience has ended. Maybe you're being a little too careful and it's holding back your magic. Because if you look very closely at the breastplate of this Temperance card, we have that pyramid of secrets, right? That's all locked up. You might be keeping that locked up a little too tightly. And it's throwing off your balance. The Temperance card, of course, in the reverse does have to do with a lack of balance sometimes. Jeez Louise, I hope that wasn't too loud. And we have that they're pouring this substance, their emotional substance, back and forth between these two cups, and they're not spilling it out at all. But remember, spilling out that substance is what has created the potential for you to move forward with this Three of Wands, right? That's your energies returning to you. my brother in Christ. All right. So that is going to conclude the main portion of the reading, and then we are going to move on to the Empyrean deck card. And the card that I pulled for you from the Empyrean deck is, of course, balance. So, kind of reinforcing this temperance energy, yeah? Even imbalance can create balance in other areas. And I think that you're being urged to strike a balance of some kind. Not that you are out of balance, not that you're in balance, because of course, as a Libra, I'm sure that you recognize that your life is not just two particular polarized options. There's always all kinds of stuff going on around you. And so sometimes there's going to be parts of your life that are going really, really well. And other times there might be parts of your life that need a lot of work, need a lot of your attention. It's like it was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. It was the west of times, it was the blurst of times. So I'm going to look in the book and see what they have to say about balance. The pendulum will keep swinging. Our lives will always be in flux, which is to say, we will never achieve sustained balance. But perhaps we don't want balance. Maybe what we want is to have enough room to hold it all. Balance is the art of acknowledging both the good and the bad. It's not insisting on peace, but living with space for nuance, allowing for two polar opposites to exist together. When people say they want balance in their lives, what they really want is to feel balanced, to feel content and in harmony, grounded and stable. Our first instinct is often to categorize things: good versus bad, healthy versus unhealthy, right versus wrong. But life, and we ourselves, are often everything. All of it exists within us. It is when we can accept this that we feel balanced. Yes. Yes, indeed. So that is going to conclude the Libra reading for this week. And I will be moving on now to the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius, Aquarius. I have a lot to say in the air sign readings this week. All right, Aquarius, if you would like, go ahead and set an intention for the reading. Sorry, I dropped some of the cards directly onto the microphone base. The bat coming out. The bat is, what is that about? Stop thinking and start knowing. So have a little more confidence in your own cognitive abilities, Aquarius. Allow any... Oh, this guy again. Allow any thoughts and ideas that are associated with your intention. Allow those things to rise up to the forefront of your mind. Wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. And then sometimes these things can cause us stress or discomfort. Sometimes we are in physical pain. So what I'd like for you to do, if you are interested in letting go of some things, is to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, you're going to draw in those oxygen molecules, and along with them, you're going to be drawing in divine source energy. And Precious is outside. If she continues long enough to interfere with the reading, I'll have to go out there and talk to her about how I am busy right now. She needs to be quiet. Shh. Shh. Please be quiet, Precious. Precious, please be quiet. We'll see if that works. All right, let me note your timestamp. Oh, I'm going to do the guided meditation. So draw in that source energy with your oxygen molecules and allow the electron from that oxygen molecule to bounce through the electron transport chain in each and every one of your mitochondria. And what that's going to do is it's going to push that negative energy, anything you're ready to let go of, it's going to push it right through to the end where we're going to release that CO2 molecule. And all of that debris is going to just be released with the CO2 of your breath. And it will return to source. And it will be transmuted. Okay, so now let's start with your reading, Aquarius. And the first card that I have is for the past placement. We have the Knight of Pentacles showing up, Fire of Earth energy. This is material resources riding into you quickly. So this is money coming in very fast. And this card is in the reverse. So this could have been a job where you earned a lot of money really quickly, but it looks like you're not there anymore. This could have also been like cryptocurrency market. It could have been other investments that was very like fast money. And now that particular opportunity has ended. It doesn't mean that you're broke now. It just means that the money is not continuing to flow in like it was. Here in the current situation, Aquarius, we have very interesting energies, we have the Page of Wands, which is Earth of Fire. This is manifesting our creative ideas here in the physical plane. It's crossed by the Eight of Wands, which is finality, closure, and it's all tied up in a nice little package. Everybody's pretty content with how things turned out. That kind of finality, a cycle ending. If you put these together like this, it looks a lot like the Nine of Wands, which is about guarding what you have. So a very defensive energy, not necessarily that you are defensive at this time, but just kind of guarding what you have. And there's the implication of a turnover point in a creative cycle or a cycle regarding your passions or even your work. So it could be the end of a job, and now you're enthusiastic to do something new. It could be the end of one project and the beginning of another. I'm getting a lot of like freelance type energy from this reading in particular. Not freelance, it could be passive income, it could be different things that people do in their retirement to pick up a little loose change. All of those types of things. In the MMCLI for you, Aquarius, we have the bat coming out again, but this time the bat is coming out in the reverse. So what are we looking at with the reverse meaning of this card? That is going to be think before actions are taken. So this is not necessarily the Two of Wands, but it's a very similar kind of planning energy that we are evaluating a lot of things. It could be kind of like the Two of Wands combined with the Seven of Pentacles. Active and passive forms of evaluation that are going to lead you on the correct path, the correct course. From your perspective, we have the Five of Cups. So all of these cups represent the substance that you have poured into a situation, your emotional energy and strength. And here, 3 of them have been poured out. 2 of them still remain, though. It's important to remember that these are there. From an outside person's perspective, we do have the 8 of Cups in reverse. So people perceive that you've put a lot of emotional energy into a particular situation, and you might be unwilling to walk away from it. And I bring this up in the context of your perceptions of the situation because there's disappointment there. And this is a card, when it shows up in the reverse like this, I ask people to think about sunk cost fallacy. So you will indeed want to weigh everything very carefully before you proceed from here. Is walking away possibly a good option for you? Here in the future, we have a very good card. This is the Three of Cups. It's all about having a close-knit friend group in which we're still able to maintain our autonomy and very good boundaries. You can see that these people are all holding up their own chalices. they're not sharing their chalice with the others without asking, without receiving consent. And everybody is maintaining their autonomy within the joy and pleasure of this hangout that they're having here in the swamp. This is the joint emotional substance down here that you and all of your friend group generate together. So the way that I read this card in this particular spread, Aquarius, is that you really poured out like a lot of your emotional energy into some certain situations. But maybe you didn't kind of rely on your friends. Maybe you didn't ask your friends for support. And I think the key moving forward is that you are going to be asking for more support from your friend group. And it's going to be helping you to move forward in the way that you desire. Here in the hopes and fears, we got the single lady, the 9 of Pentacles, and she's here in the upright. You are hoping for financial stability and freedom. And this is in the face of this disappointment. So there could have been a situation where you thought that you were going to have financial freedom coming into you. Because remember, we did have this time in the past where you were making a lot of money. But then because that ended, that you're disappointed that you weren't able to achieve the success that you wanted just yet. But again, I think there are other things that are opening up for you. Here in the midheaven. So this is going to be the result of you taking very careful time to consider everything before you move forward from this very emotional situation. Aquarius, we got so many cups in your reading this week compared to the balance of the other. Like we got a couple of wands, we got a couple of pentacles, but we have 3 cups, and they're very strong cups. Oh, we have 3 pentacles. So we have a lot of passive energies showing up in your reading as well. And what we have in the midheaven is the 6 of Pentacles. So this is more money coming in than is going out. And you are able to give to others and share the wealth around if you choose to do so. So you'll be well on your way to getting to this 9 of Pentacles situation that you desire. And it's going to be because of that careful consideration. It could also be because you got help from your friends. So don't be afraid to ask those people for help. Don't be too guarded and then not ask your friends for help, because they love you and they want you to succeed. The final outcome card is kind of like advice, kind of to wrap up any loose ends from the reading. And this is in opposition to this 8 of Cups in the reverse, where there's something that people perceive you're not walking away from. And that card is the Wound. So this is another Secret Arcana card, and it's showing up in the reverse. And when the Wound is reversed like this, we're looking at being injured, a loss of will, feeling powerless. So I really perceive that in this particular situation where you're perhaps even unable to walk away at this particular time from this situation, or perhaps it requires a lot more planning on your part before you go through with anything, that there's an injury, there's powerlessness there in this situation. So it will be very beneficial to you to reach out to your support groups at this time. With the Page of Wands, I think you do have the enthusiasm, the spark. The Page of Wands is also a very young energy. So that kind of youthful precociousness that you'll be able to push through. But I really, really cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be able to rely on the people around you. I think you've surrounded yourself with some really wonderful people, Aquarius, and I think they would be more than happy to help you out. Even if one day you forget all of their names and go off to live in the Hollywood Hills. So now I'm going to read for you the card that I pulled from the Empyrean deck. It's a very air sign card for you today, Aquarius, which is breath. Breath, 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 breath. And I'm going to be doing, coming up, some videos about how to transmute elemental energies into prima materia. And I think you know from the meditations that I do in the readings that I consider breath a very important way of moving energy around. Let me see what they have to say about it here. A quick Google will show you how many ways there are to breathe. Box breathing, holotropic breathing, alternate nostril breathing, equal breathing. There is an endless supply to try, each promising wellness and transformation. When we find strength within, we don't need our crutches as much. And beyond that, when we step outside of ourselves, when we decide to be open, to take more in, to live our lives more fully, our thoughts begin to shift. We begin to expand, locking eyes with the moon and thinking, that doesn't seem so far away. The impossible becoming possible. Let breath be your guide. So that is going to conclude the air sign readings for this week. I am going to go now over to the member side of the channel to do the mirror scrying. If that interests you, you of course are cordially invited. But your presence here on the channel, that's all your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, and ringing that little bell so you know when I go live, because sometimes I have to change it up a bit. All of your comments, all of you who talk to me in the live chat, all of that is so, so greatly appreciated. Thank you, 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 thank you. The only place where you can get personal readings from me is on my website, or if you give money in the super chat, or over on the members side of the channel. But I don't use WhatsApp, and I won't give you my phone number. It's all handled through clandestine ritual and ASMR magical tools. And I will not reach out to you about readings unless I am verbally just speaking it out there in the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. And until we meet again, I look forward to seeing you very